All right, Jason, we are doing a live episode of the Worst of the Best podcast. Welcome, everyone, to the Worst of the Best podcast. I am your host, Ryan. And with me today, of course, is my brother, Jason. It's been a little bit of a time since we've done an episode together. I think the last one we did together was the Dead Celebrity episode. And already 2026 is shaping up to be a fun year. I can't wait for the end of this year. What do you
Yeah,
think?
let's see what 2026 has in store for us. I mean, it's always a surprise at the end of the year. So
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. We've got some good stuff coming up ahead. So, yeah, we're doing today. This is an interesting one. Welcome everyone who's joined us after we went live as well. If you're watching us or listening to us on our podcast app, we appreciate the support on our podcast. Numbers are looking good. Jay on the audio feeds, we appreciate all the support there. Um, Jay, we are in a time right now where the government isn't always telling the truth to its people. Can you believe that's such a time? There's been such a time.
is it the time, or has it always been the time? I
I don't
mean,
know.
like, I don't think the government has ever been honest, to be honest. It's,
Well, what we're doing today is we're diving into declassified documents. So, kind of like the Epstein files. You know how the Epstein files were fully released to the public with nothing
right.
redacted, and they've all been released. And uh, well, there's been other files.
Okay,
That,
I just want to say, how
oh,
did he
sure.
write that many? How did he write that many emails?
I don't know.
How does how does one write that many emails in a lifetime?
Well, I don't know. 3 million sounds like a lot. If you, I think some of them might have been. This is sort of pre-smartphone, so you could argue it's like text messages. I think this like some of the emails are treated like a text message. Hey, do you want to come to the
Sure.
pizza party tonight? And they write back, sure, I'll be there. And can I have an extra cheese with no sauce? Whatever the code was. Are you bringing the extra hot dogs? We've all read the files. We've seen those. But anyways, yeah, good question about the amount. Some of them were probably just like text messages. But what we're doing today, Jason, what we're doing today, we're going to provide 10 declassified government documentations throughout the world. And most of them, I believe, are US, but not all of them are US. Let me be clear. This is not us just picking on the United States. These are pretty big events. And when I did the research for this, a lot of these events I hadn't heard about, some I did know about. And when we go through, well, oh yeah, what we're doing at the end of it, we're going to pick what we think is the worst. So what your reasons could be is up to you. The most atrocious, the worst cover up, whatever the reasons are. There's no rules. What you think is the worst. I'm going to lean towards maybe one of the most atrocious cover ups, type thing. So here we go. The first. Oh, someone just asked us, Jay, in the chat, what is you guys doing? Well, what we're doing is we're going to talk about declassified documents that the government held from the public, but have now since come public. And some of these events, like I've said before, people may have heard of. Jay, go ahead, please.
Well, I was going to say anything.
Oh, I thought you were about to breathe and say something. Okay. So,
Oh,
as you know, governments classify documents for many reasons, officially to protect its national security. So that's obvious. I'm in the military myself. You just can't tell the public everything that's going on. You do have to,
sure.
yeah, there's public safety and country safety. Not everything can just be, hey, this is what we're doing, because then you're telling the enemy. If you're telling the public, you're telling the enemy. So we have to be careful about that. So, in reality, they often hide decisions, proposals, and operations that would spark public outrage if known right away. So, for decades, people have wondered what's behind the blacked out pages and locked archives. Sometimes those suspicions are wrong. Other times, declassified files show plans and actions that read more like spy thrillers than government memos. So over the years, thousands of secret documents have been released through declassification programs. So these 10 that we're bringing up today, I think they're pretty big, but there's been thousands that have been released to the public because that's the Freedom of Information Act. You've heard about that and requests.
Of course, yeah.
And
You
of
know what?
course,
I
yeah,
just want to say something. Like, sometimes when they give out so much information, it's just so much. Like, how do you, as a average person, sift through the amount of information and glean an actual thread of truth through it all, and you go from beginning to end, and you know exactly what it is that's been discussed. Like, I just, it's almost too much information at times. I mean, it's great that they release information or declassify information, but at the same time, it's like it's too much information for me to sift through and fully appreciate or understand. And then they redact as they go, so you're still getting like inaccurate amounts of information.
It's a lot to go through, and that's why we have the duty today, Jason, to at least provide 10 such things. We're doing the good work, and we're going to provide 10 of the thousands of declassified documents. We're doing
All
a
right.
10 that are pretty big. Okay, so here's the first one. Did you ever hear of the Katyn massacre?
No.
Okay. Well, it was April 2010, Russia released. So this is Russia. They were first on the list. They released secret Soviet files of one of its worst massacres of all time. This one, when I read about this one, blew me away. Between April and May of 1940, Soviet secret police shot and killed over 22,000 Polish officers and citizens. 22,000 in 1 month.
Wow.
22,000 Polish officers were murdered by their Soviet allies who promised them safety. In spring 1940, Polish military officers sat in Soviet prison camps, writing letters home to their families. They had survived the German invasion and believed they would soon be released. These educated men maintained discipline and hope, some even cooperating with their captors. But Stalin had secretly ordered their complete elimination to prevent future resistance. The officers were told they were being transferred to better camps and loaded onto trains, believing they were heading to freedom. Instead, they were taken to Katyn Forest, where pre-dug mass graves waited. Hands bound with telephone wire, they were forced to kneel and shot in the back of the head. The Soviets used German ammunition to frame the Nazis.
So that's the first crazy part right there. So they used German ammunition, the Russians, to say, hey, if these bodies are ever found, hey, those aren't our weapons. That's not our guns. Those the dirty Nazis. They're the ones that did this.
Holy, this is crazy.
Yeah.
In 1943, the horrific truth emerged when 4,143 bodies were discovered in perfect military formation, still wearing their uniforms. For 50 years, the Soviets blamed Germany while persecuting the victims' families for seeking answers.
Well, that's weird. People looking for answers and they're gaslit and persecuted for looking the truth by the government. What a weird concept, Jay. Has that ever happened in your history of life?
I could not imagine such a thing.
Like some sort of pandemic hits the world and people are looking for answers and why we're doing what we're doing. And you're told that you're terrible for looking into things and trying to figure out why things are the way they are. Your government tells you that you're against people's health and safety if you do such things. I'm glad that kind of behavior doesn't exist anymore in our countries. So that's good.
Yeah.
The truth finally came out in 1990.
All right. So the truth did finally come out in 1990. It did give some closure to the families, of course, but names of the individual NKVD officers who carried out the executions, those were still kept secret, obviously. So the massacre obviously badly damaged relations between the Soviet Union and the Polish government in exile during World War II. So there you go. That's the first one. What do you think of that one, Jay? The Katyn massacre. Did you ever hear of that one?
No. I guess that's just insane.
22,000. I know this happened 80 years ago, and I get wars atrocious, and I get things like this. Just the idea that you could load people onto a train, knowing full well that when you get them off the train, you're going to be shooting them in the back of the head. 22,000 of them. That's like 500 a day that they did in 1 month.
And then could you imagine living the rest of your life having seen and heard all that tragedy and you participating? And it's so weird.
Yeah.
But the people that do that, this is a part I don't understand. If you are assigned by your leaders, like, why are they the ones? What are they supposed? I don't know. What do you do there? I'm not going to do it, and then you get shot and killed. You're like,
I guess there's probably some of that too. I mean, these people are living. Probably the soldiers are living in fear and brainwashing as well, and told
these are bad people.
These are bad people.
They'll kill your own families if they had the chance. I mean, which I suppose they would. I mean, they're at war with each other.
Yeah.
It's a weird psychology that I don't fully understand.
Well, thankfully, we've never been put in that situation, but that brings us to, Jason, in the 1990s, you ever heard of the Dalai Lama? Did you know that he got his fingers kind of a little bit dirty, a little bit sticky. Did you hear
Mm,
about this one? Do you know about this one?
yeah,
Maybe.
I think so.
Okay. So, well, these declassified documents did come out. They showed the CIA secretly funded and armed Tibetan resistance against China from 57 to 1969.
War when America was doing everything it could to slow the During the Cold War, when America was doing everything it could to slow the spread of communism around the world. As part of this, the Dalai Lama received $180,000 per year from the CIA between the late 1950s and the mid-1970s. This money was part of a larger effort to maintain anti-Chinese sentiment after Communist China annexed Tibet in the early 1950s. The Dalai Lama specifically used the funds for pro-Tibet activities such as funding international support programs for Tibetan independence. This CIA program saw some of the United States' greatest Cold War successes in terms of acquiring Chinese military intelligence, much of which was gathered by Tibetan independence fighters at the time. The Dalai Lama was not directly involved in street combat or spy infiltration missions, but that doesn't change the fact that he was on the CIA's payroll for a time.
So I love this narrator. I know it's an AI narration for the text
Yeah.
the person gave it, but I love how he's saying that the Dalai Lama didn't do any street combat. Yeah, like, thanks for that clarification. Good to see the Dalai Lama there with an MK-47 or whatever, just blasting people away. But he did probably bought a couple cheeseburgers from it. And let's be honest here. Come on.
Of course.
He wasn't like he wasn't making anything off this. He was in the pocket of the CIA, and the CIA was taking care of those nasty Chinese for them.
Yeah. All these people seem to be bought.
Yeah.
They have such a facade that I don't believe in these facades anymore, because you see it at every angle of our society. It's just, I feel like they're just acting. It's a performance.
Yeah, it is a performance. It is a performance. The
Yeah,
world's
a
a stage. The world's a stage, and we're all just players in it, Jay. And some people are the starring role, and we're the audience watching this disaster around us. So yeah, again, Dalai Lama received 180, and this is back then, $180,000.
I know, that's a lot. That's what I was thinking too. That's a lot of money.
In part of America's Cold War effort to weaken Chinese influence, the support ended in the early 1970s when Nixon himself began improving relations with China. So the Tibetan fighters never achieved most of their goals, however. The files, though, fuel China's claims that the Dalai Lama worked with foreign intelligence. So there you go. I wonder who called who first. Probably the U.S. The Dalai Lama said, hey, I rub your back, you rub my head. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. You ever hear of Project Stargate?
Yes.
What do you know about that off the top of your head? You know? Or you just heard of it?
I've heard of it. I'm sure as you describe it. Yeah. But I have
remote viewing. It's the remote viewing.
The remote viewing. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's right. Project Stargate was a secret U.S. government program that studied psychic abilities for spying and military use. It started in the early 1970s because the U.S. feared the Soviets were developing mind-based weapons. So it's kind of
your camera on my end went blurry.
Oh, okay. Let me just fix it real quick. So I just love the idea that the U.S. was like, did you hear? The Russians are going to kill us with mine bullets. They're afraid of that.
Right, yeah.
I wonder if Star Wars came out around the same time. They think of the Force. So the project tested what was called remote viewing, trying to see distant targets using only the mind. Basically, like mine drones. If you want to look at your mind was like a drone. So here's
the reality, though, is remote viewing was a part of. It still is a part of a lot of people's. Like the military.
Yeah.
Like, it's still probably still a thing. Maybe not in the way that it used to be. It was a part of their program.
Yeah, I just want to wish Michael Johnson here. I hope he's okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Abducted by aliens or just abducted?
Like Elizabeth Smart abducted or abducted by aliens? Yeah. Did you watch that Elizabeth Smart documentary on Netflix?
I haven't.
I watched it. And I'm halfway through it. She was really went through the ringer with this.
Oh
guy.
yeah.
I didn't know, but I didn't realize it was like literally 100 meters away from her house, she was married to this guy in a tent, and the marriage was consummated very quickly that night, many times. It's insane. She heard people calling her name, looking for her the next day.
Oh,
I know.
so close. How did they not?
Well, you got to watch the documentary. All right.
Yeah, I've only got so many hours in my life.
I know. So
The
the alien.
alien-
Well, it's probably everybody's. Look, I'd rather have it through the butt than the urethra. That's for sure. So, all right. I'll tell you that much. All right. So here's a little video on Project Stargate.
Things get really trippy. There was actually a CIA psychic spy program to find Russian nuclear bases and American hostages that ran from 1972 to 1995. It was called Stargate. How do you think you developed your skills for, because you really seem to be the best remote viewer?
So they're talking to this video is a bit of a montage. I think it's from a film or documentary that's kind of pieced together very quickly. So you're going to hear the voice of a guy who was apparently the #1 mind or remote viewer person out there, according to his claim. I've heard of this guy before.
Yeah, well, this the movie.
Oh, is it the one that just came out?
George Clooney was in it.
Oh, is that what that one is about? The staring at goats?
Yeah, staring at goats.
Is that okay? I might watch it.
Yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
So I bet
maybe ever.
Psychic functioning itself is a survival mechanism. In the beginning, the people who kept small tribes of humans alive were shaman.
Certainly, remote viewing is a thing. I mean, you saw the government from the 70s to at least the 90s when it was declassified, Stargate. Russell Targ and, Hal Puthoff. And so the psychic spying thing was a thing, and they had, and I've talked to the, Hal and those guys, and they seem to have, many cases of their intel basically being confirmed by traditional intel methodologies and modalities.
So interesting. So the people that the guy mentioned were the parapsychologists Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ. They were early experiments seemed promising at the time, so grew under military control. They also explored ideas like influencing people or objects across time and space.
Yes.
Some internal reports claimed limited successes, but a later CIA review found it produced no useful intelligence. The program was shut down in 1995 after 20 years, though, of testing this stuff. 20 years it went about this. So something must have clicked at some point, some sort of tickling, so to speak, that they carried it on for 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, people have tried to do that, or they call it psychic. That's probably the way in which most of us would view this. It is a psychic experience, and some people have a more gifted opportunity with that than others, right? So people will try to use psychics or people who can remote view for like murders, solving murders and things like that, right? So there might be people who go, hey, I can do this or these things.
I've heard of people or cops, like you hear about these stories about they're at their wits' end or whatever, unsolved mystery or whatever it is, and they do end up calling a psychic, or they use them. It works. You hear that stuff. Like those are, I don't know, something's out there. I mean, there's enough that something's out there, something in our brain that we're not connecting to that can be, I'm actually all for that. I just don't know how it works. I think there might have been something in whoever built the ancient civilizations before us were probably able to do it.
The ancient AI?
Well, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah, I know.
Are we on the cycle back to that? You know what I mean? Are we on the... All right, okay. Next one. Jason.
I've been contemplating this. We'll talk later.
Yeah, what's another episode? That's another episode. Operation Northwoods. You've heard of this operation? Probably have. Okay. This was a secret U.S. military plan from the early 60s to create public support for war against Cuba. Senior officers proposed staging fake attacks, sabotaging boats, taking down your buildings, hijacking planes, and committing violence in U.S. cities, all blamed on Cuba, Afghanistan, to justify invading and removing Fidel Castro, Justin Trudeau's father, after the failed Bay of Pigs. Okay, so you heard of this one, of course. Here's another video.
Yeah.
Plan so extreme, so deceptive, that it involved faking attacks on American soil just to justify a war. This was Operation Northwoods. In 1962, amid Cold War tensions, the United States Department of Defense and Joint Chiefs of Staff proposed a covert plan to justify an invasion of Cuba. Known as Operation North Woods, this proposal outlined false flag scenarios designed to make Cuba look like a threat. They wanted to turn the American public against Fidel Castro's regime. Among the shocking proposals, staging attacks on Guantanamo Bay, sinking a boat of Cuban refugees, and even faking the hijacking of a civilian airliner, blaming it all on Cuba.
Okay. Look, this is real. This was a real operation. It was obviously declassified, and we're going to see who stopped it. Do you remember who stopped it?
JFK.
Yes. Hey, you remember that guy who didn't want to start a war with the leader of the free world, who seemed like a decent guy? Remember that president who talked about secret combinations and secret organizations trying to take over the government? Remember that guy who seemed like an honest chap, a good Christian who was saying don't believe in the secret societies of people taking over the world? Who got killed by a lone gunman apparently from the library? Yeah. Anyways, let's check this out.
But there was one roadblock: President John F. Kennedy. When the plan reached his desk, he rejected it outright. After the Bay of Pigs disaster, Kennedy wasn't willing to risk more controversy. Operation Northwood stayed hidden until declassified in the 1990s. It's now a chilling reminder of how far the Cold War pushed government strategies. Operation Northwoods, an ethical boundary crossed, or a necessary tactic in a dangerous era?
Again, I asked the viewers and listeners, was there another event in the 2000s that may have been an inside job that I wonder triggered some sort of new government acts and privacy laws and travel and oil? But I'll let people discover that. Right now, that's not declassified, is it? Has that been declassified yet?
Does it have to be?
I'm not saying anything.
What more are we going to learn?
Those buildings, Jay, fell because of the fuel. Okay, the fuel was very strong and hot, and it made the foundations weak. Okay, all right. The next one, Jay, you may have heard of this. Actually, this one I did not know about. So far, I should say just to quickly recap. We're almost halfway done here. The Caton massacre, I did not know about.
No, I didn't know.
The Dalai Lama, I think I may have heard about that, but I didn't know enough to speak to you. Seems like you knew a little bit about that.
You hear rumblings of these type of
the peaceful people who,
yeah, like
the Pope and Mother Teresa. They never do anything nefarious. I know.
No, it's
they're the spiritual leaders of the world. Project Stargate, I did hear about remote viewing. I find it a fascinating study. Operation Northwoods, I did know about that as well. This one I did not know about. This is the most recent one. Have you heard of Pegasus, the spyware? Okay. So in 2021, Jason, it was revealed that the FBI under Director Christopher Wray they actually had the contract bought and paid for to use Pegasus spyware for criminal investigations. Pegasus was made by Israel. And then I'm sorry, I'm just reporting the news. I don't mean to laugh.
Hey, it's declassified, so it's true.
Yeah. Made by Israeli firm NSO Group. It is a powerful zero-click tool that can secretly extract almost all data from a target's phone without the user doing anything. A no-click, zero-click. You just have to walk by the phone and you have everything.
Is a sophisticated and highly intrusive spyware developed by the Israeli cyber arms company NSO Group. It is designed to be covertly installed on mobile phones and other devices to gain complete control. It can read text messages, listen to calls, collect passwords, track locations, access microphone or camera, and harvest information from apps. It can even exfiltrate data from encrypted messaging applications like WhatsApp, Signal, and Telegram. Pegasus is often delivered through zero-click exploits, meaning it can infect a device without any interaction from the user. These exploits typically target vulnerabilities in widely used apps or operating systems. Historically, it has also been delivered via one-click methods, such as malicious links sent through SMS or email. NSO Group states that Pegasus is sold exclusively to government agencies for the purpose of fighting crime and terrorism. However, numerous investigations by organizations like Amnesty International and Citizen Lab have revealed its use against journalists, human rights activists, lawyers, and political dissidents worldwide.
Oh, go figure. Somebody who's investigating, our lab work, are illegal activities and investigative journalists, we're going to get dirt on them to, you know what I mean, to get them, wipe them out.
Yeah, because the government is the purity, and the people investigating the government, they're the bad people that have to be investigated and tarnished. And
that's right.
It's so backwards, so upside down.
Anything that Jason and I say that's anti-government, it's for entertainment purposes only. YouTube's terms of service. Sarcasm. The government's great. It's amazing. It does nothing wrong. It only has the best interest of the people at heart.
Yeah.
The widespread deployment of Pegasus has raised significant concerns about privacy, human rights, and digital security. Detecting Pegasus infection is extremely challenging, as it is designed to erase its traces and operate stealthily.
So the moment it's used, it's not there. It's insane. This is very recent. Like I said, this was just a few years ago.
Forensic analysis often requires specialized tools and expertise to detect. Follow cybersecurity arms company NS.
Now, the FBI, Jay, like I said, did buy the license and tested the software heavily between 2020. What year was that? And early 2021, but ultimately decided not to use it operationally. Now, do they still have it? I don't know. Probably. I can't imagine they threw it in the garbage. And who knows what they've done to improve on it in the last 5 years.
They took it off their desktop and put it in the trash can.
So these were, like I said, these are revealed documents. These are declassified documents. So the documents did show, though, that the agency came close to deploying one of the world's most invasive surveillance tools, but they didn't, apparently.
Now, what they probably are going to do is do something even worse than Pegasus. It's just called something different. We're not using Pegasus.
And they're going to have something that shuts down everyone's phones or internet anyways, or whatever that might be. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Have you ever heard of Operation Gladio?
No.
This was new to me as well. So Operation Gladio was a secret CIA-backed stay-behind network set up across Western Europe after World War II. So we're going back in time again. Its goal was to organize armed resistance if the Soviet Union ever invaded. The network operated in many NATO countries, including Italy, Belgium, France, Germany, and the Netherlands, and even reached neutral nations like Sweden and Switzerland.
Aftermath of World War II, a covert operation known as Operation Gladio was initiated by NATO and various European intelligence agencies. Its purpose? To prepare for a potential Soviet invasion by establishing secret stay-behind armies. These clandestine groups were armed and trained to conduct guerrilla warfare in the event of occupation. However, as the Cold War progressed, their operations became entangled in political violence and terrorism across Europe. The existence of Gladio was kept secret for decades, until exposed in the 1990s, revealing a complex web of state-sponsored militia and covert operations that challenged democracy and stability in the region.
So it stayed hidden until 1990, when the Italian Prime Minister Andreotti publicly revealed it. Later investigations found hidden weapons and caches that had been buried for decades. The operation sparked some controversy over alleged links to far-right terrorism in Italy during the 70s. Declassified files confirmed the existence of this Cold War-era secret army across Europe. This one's okay. I mean, this one I think is just I would say, knee-jerk reaction. I mean, World War II just happened. It's kind of hot in everyone's mind a little bit, and they kind of had a backup plan of this guerrilla-like army network, just in case the Soviets ever decided, Russia ever decided to invade another country. Thankfully, Russia's never done that since, so their fears have nothing to worry about. Russia will never invade another country. So there you go. They had something in place.
Especially if they're backed into a corner by NATO.
That's right. All Putin wanted was to be let in. Yes. Can I play with you guys? And he got mad, took his ball home, and that's what happened there.
That's the what do you call that? The villain origin story.
Yeah, it's the villain origin story. All we had to do is let him in NATO. That's what he said. That's what he said, according to remember that interview with Tucker Carlson?
Yeah.
Did you watch that interview back in? That was like a few years ago.
I did. Yeah.
Interesting. I just found it fascinating that somebody sat down and talked to him. That in itself is pretty fascinating. That's a pretty amazing feat.
Oliver Stone had 2 or 3 interviews with him.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Of course, they're older, right?
Yeah, but still,
but they were, they are interesting. He was very open. Well, as open as the ex-KGB Russian president will be.
Now, Jay, another a good memory in the world's governments. In 65 to 66, Indonesia carried out a massive anti-communist purge that killed, nay, not thousands, but hundreds of thousands of people, possibly up to 1 million in 1 year. Indonesia.
Is that movie? Did they make that movie?
I'm sure they've made a movie.
The Killing Fields, or
maybe.
Paradise Island of Bali is not quite what you might think it is. Buried beneath some of the luxury resorts here are thousands of human remains. 60 years ago, the Indonesian army killed at least 500,000 people they accused of being communists. And Bali was hit hardest. Within just a few months, more than 80,000 people were killed here. Back then, Indonesia was home to one of the largest communist parties in the world. And Washington was intervening in dozens of countries to crush their leftist movements at the height of the Cold War.
The American nation cannot, must not, and will not permit the establishment of another communist government in the Western Hemisphere.
Declassified documents show that the US and its allies gave the Indonesian army military support, sent it lists of alleged communists, and spread anti-communist propaganda.
So the US was involved. Guess what? The US was involved in this one too, Jay. So, look, all I'm saying here is the more I've learned as I've gotten older, when I hear people say the U.S. has put their fingers in a lot of pies, you start to see that. Like, oh, I guess they have.
They really have.
They helped the Dalai Lama. We got some other ones coming. They wanted to start a war with Cuba. They gave military training, weapons, and money to Indonesia to kill communists. Like, they may not have pulled the trigger, but they provided money.
Apparently, maybe even created Osama bin Laden and ISIS, and
I know
all these other.
I wonder what
dictators that are like Saddam Hussein was installed by.
Here's an interesting thought experiment. You know how China's China? I'm not saying. But you know how kind of China takes care of themselves, their own selves. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do involve themselves with other countries the way the U.S. has. Or maybe they fund Australia interest or Sweden. You know what I mean? The point is, I wonder what America would be like. Anyways, I'm not a geopolitical scientist at all.
Neither am I.
I don't know anything, but I wonder what the world would be like if countries just kind of minded their own business. Be an interesting thought experiment. Okay. This was a big one. More on this, Jay. So, like I said, the United States knew about and provided support, including communication equipment, money, and lists of suspects. They actually provided a list of names. Like, hey, by the way, get that guy. He's over there.
That guy's a communist.
He's a. Why are we so?
Why
are they scared? Why would America be scared that Indonesia is a communist country? Why does that bother them?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of communism. But I'm also not worried if my next door neighbor is a communist.
Sure. I don't know why that would affect the U.S. I don't know. Again, I'm not a specialist. Why Indonesia? Like, how powerful a nation are they if they're a communist nation? You get what I'm like?
Yeah.
Because we have communist nations still to this day, and we seem to go about our day without that being a problem. Jason, somebody in our chat wants to know, have you guys ever heard of the poo raft and its advantages? No, please do tell. What is the poo raft? Have you heard of that, Jay?
No.
If it's a joke, explain it. If it's not a joke, explain it. Either way. Okay. So the purge targeted members of the Indonesian Communist Party and anyone suspected of supporting them. So religious, and can you imagine that? Anyone suspected? You can imagine how many people were just fodder fire. Hey, I saw you talking to the guy that's communist. Dude was just mowing my lawn. Like,
I know it's insane.
It's like there's no court of law. Can you imagine what their reasoning would have been to pull you out of your house and shoot you?
You talked to somebody that was a criminal.
Oh, you guys must have been talking about communism. You're gonna have to be shot now. What?
Well, it's like going to death row because you knew somebody who was on death row.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, you were friends with the murderer, so you must be a murderer. No, dude, he committed that crime on his own. I got nothing to do with it. So
But they had to purge, right? This is a purge. You got to purge these people. You got to purge this. The only way to purge the idea of communism out of people is to kill everybody that thinks of communism.
Well, thankfully, there's no other nation in the world right now who wants to wipe out another nation, so that's good. That's good. Religious and civic groups also took part, with some framing the violence as a religious duty. It remains one of the bloodiest chapters in Indonesia's modern history. You don't think one of the we got some other ones we're considering.
Yeah. We're considering the other ones to declassify.
Yeah.
But,
thanks. All apologies. That's the great Andy, friend of the show, friend of mine online. One day I hope to meet him in person. Great guy, Trucker Andy. He's been on our show actually, Jay. Yeah, he did the which music episode did we do? And you remind me which music episode you did. Oh, it was Clutch. We did the band Clutch together and some other stuff. So yeah, and go join the All Apologies podcast, guys. The All Apologies podcast, great show, and I've been on that a couple times. Okay. The next one, Jay, Gulf of Tonkin. You ever hear this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So in August of 1964, what a busy time this was, eh? The Gulf of Tonkin incident gave this one's brutal. I'm not trying to give away my answer just yet, but this one's pretty bad. The Gulf of Tonkin incident gave the U.S. the excuse to massively escalate the Vietnam War. U.S. officials claimed North Vietnamese boats attacked American ships twice, but declassified NSA documents from the early 2000s showed the second attack on August 4th probably never happened, and it was based on bad intelligence.
The Gulf of Tonkin incident occurred on August 4th, 1964. It was reported that North Vietnamese torpedo boats attacked U.S. ships in the Gulf of Tonkin. This report led to swift and dramatic actions by the U.S. government. President Lyndon B. Johnson used these reports to push for the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. This resolution gave him broad military powers in Vietnam, effectively allowing the U.S. to escalate its military presence and actions without a formal declaration of war. Despite the shaky evidence, the Gulf of Tonkin incident was used to justify massive escalation. Congress quickly passed the Gulf of Tonkin resolution with only 2 dissenting votes. This resolution led to the deployment of hundreds of thousands of U.S. troops to Vietnam and years of intense combat. The decision was a pivotal moment in the Vietnam War, leading to significant American involvement and, eventually, massive protests and public outcry back home.
So now, again, I used to be kind of an anti-peacenik myself, in that, you hear about these, peace and love, man. Now, when you learn a little bit more about how wars were started and what happened, you kind of recognize, oh, gee, I can see why people might not have been crazy about sending the young men and women over there, or particularly men and the poor, the uneducated over there to fight this war in Vietnam. We shouldn't have gone there. I'm sorry. What do you think?
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Why did we go?
It was communism.
Is it another, like, it's like this? It's like, it's the COVID. It's the COVID.
COVID.
This is the blanket statement of the boogeyman.
It is. Communism is the boogeyman.
It's communism. It's weapons of mass destruction. it's terrorism.
They have nuclear warheads.
It's a war against drugs. It's the drugs.
It's the drugs. It's the fentanyl. I'm surprised I've lived this long, between the Cold War, the Vietnam War, the Gulf War,
And my question is: the Ukraine war still going on?
I guess so. Does anybody? I don't know. Have you seen the flag being flown around? Which flag am I supposed to put up today? I don't know.
Yeah, they just threw out all these boogeymen.
Yeah, I agree. It's the trolls. I agree.
It's the trolls. It's the trolls on the internet.
Well, it's trolls. The trolls run the governments. That's the problem. It is the boogeymen, like you're saying. What am I supposed to be afraid of this week, Jay? Stay tuned.
Yeah, and the government will have this amazing solution.
They always do. All right, so the conflict, Jay, back to the Tonkin, Gulf of Tonkin. The conflict, as we know, killed about 2 million Vietnamese civilians, over 1 million North Vietnamese and Viet Cong fighters, 250,000 South Vietnamese soldiers, and more than 58,000 Americans. That's a lot of dead people over. Did they fire on our ship?
I mean, how hard is it to find the boat?
They're just
bad
looking, they were looking
intel.
for a reason. I hate to say it. My guess is they're looking for a reason. Here's the thing. North Vietnam was already a communist country. Why do we... Sucks to be them, I guess. Why are we fighting North Korea right now? They're a communist nation, aren't they?
I honestly, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, why is it we're not... Why aren't we sending troops to South Korea and fighting North Korea? All right. I don't... Again, we're not geopolitical. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. Have you heard of this Japanese leader, wartime prime minister? I apologize for the pronunciation. Hideki Toho.
No.
Prime Minister Toho or Tojo. Tojo, were they the band that sang that the Africa song? Wasn't that them? All right. So after Japan's surrender, Japan's wartime minister, Tojo, was tried for war crimes, and he was executed, Jay, in 1948. Now, this is the document that was released, though. For decades, actually, let me show you a little bit of his story. I find his story fascinating, so we'll see a little bit of his biography here.
Tojo, did you authorize the attack on Pearl Harbor?
That was the first question asked to General Hideki Tojo at the Tokyo War Crimes Tribunal after World War II. He didn't hesitate. Yes, I gave the order. I take full responsibility. But that was only the beginning.
Did you order the massacres in Nanjing?
When I hear that, did you order? You got that right, I did. Sorry.
You can't handle the truth.
The bombings of Shanghai, the executions in Manila, and the brutal treatment of civilians throughout occupied Asia?
Tojo answered calmly, I fought for my country. The emperor had no part in these decisions.
Gotta hand to this Tojo guy, man. He's like, my emperor had nothing to do with this. It was me. You gotta give this guy credit. He took one for the team, eh?
I never heard of this guy before.
Yeah.
But the facts were impossible to ignore. Cities like Nanjing and Manila drowned in blood. Entire communities wiped out. And experiments so cruel, even some Japanese officers couldn't bear to watch.
I did hear about this guy's experiments. I heard about that.
I don't even want to know.
Oh, you don't want to know about those, man.
Like, why experiment?
Well, yeah, just go. I think just like anything you could think of. I think it was honestly, Jay, how much can the body take? Some of them were like that.
I didn't know why the brain even goes there.
I don't know either. I don't know.
In 1948, the sentence was announced, death by hanging. Tojo bowed once, then said his final words, I only wish to serve my nation. And to this day, one question remains, was that justice or the quiet absolution of an empire?
Okay. So this guy, as you can imagine, the way he was with the trial and everything like that, he might have what you'd call probably supporters and followers who'd find that kind of love of his nation and his stoicism in that kind of trial after everything he'd done. He heroic to some degree. So this is 1948. So for decades, Jay, this is the declassified information. So for decades, Jay, the location of his remains were kept secret to stop nationalists from turning into a shrine. So
just like the way they buried Osama bin Laden in the ocean.
In the water. You know, you could argue that's why they did it if they actually killed him. If Osama bin Laden was ever a real person, I don't even know. Wasn't he just created? I feel like he just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. Like, who's this guy? In 2021, declassified U.S. military documents revealed the truth. Are you ready? Tojo's ashes ended up in your takeout. No. Tojo's ashes, along with those of 6 other executed leaders, were scattered from a U.S. Army plane over the Pacific Ocean about 30 miles east of Yokohama.
Why the U.S.?
No, they're the ones that did it. They did the spreading, the U.S. Army. To the victor goes the spoils, I guess. I don't know.
But I'm asking, like,
like,
who put him on trial?
Well, the wartime tribunal. I think it's all the good nations get together and put you on trial for war crimes.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like the country of Japan put them on.
Though I think they were probably part of it,
right?
But it was the U.S. that I think lays down the gavel, so to speak. Okay.
And of course, the U.S. not wanting to. Nobody look at the nuclear bombs we drop.
That's fine.
Like, let's not. We're gonna just go after this other guy. Everybody focus on Tojo and all the things he did.
Last one, Jay. A little bit of lighter news here. You hear John Lennon? Did you know the FBI had him? You know, they were afraid of him.
FBI really spy on John Lennon. In 1972, John Lennon made a shocking revelation on national TV. The FBI was spying on him. The former Beatles' claims were met with disbelief and suspicion, but as it turns out, Lennon was right. John Wiener, a historian, spent 25 years fighting for the release of the FBI's files on Lennon. What he found was staggering. Over 300 pages of documents detailing the Bureau's surveillance of the singer. The FBI's interest in Lennon was motivated by politics. They feared that his anti-war activism would sway young voters in the upcoming election.
Hey, this guy wants peace. We can't have that. Think about that just for a second. Here's a guy that hates war.
Freedom of speech. He's going to practice his ability to have freedom to speak.
We can't
and
have.
We don't want that. We can't.
Peace and love guy. Come on. We gotta. Who could we get that's all about the war? That's weird, man. You gotta wonder. But you gotta wonder if his killing was a hit to some degree.
Sounds like it.
Lennon was eventually deported from the United States, but he was able to return after Nixon resigned in disgrace.
Nixon. That guy was a goof. All right, so 2006, the FBI finally released all of its files on John Lennon after a long court battle. The documents showed the agency indeed heavily spied on Lennon and other anti-war activists during the Vietnam War. Oh, there he is again, saying war sucks. Go get him.
I did. Oh my goodness.
Hey, by the way, apparently the wiretapping was some of the hardest jobs some of those guys ever did. They had to listen to Yoko Ono scream at Lennon. They couldn't tell if it was her singing or just getting mad at Lennon. They tracked his ties to new left leaders and groups, including activists Tariq Ali and Robin Blackburn. No evidence was found that Lennon was involved in violence or illegal plots. He was just a free person saying he didn't like war, Jay.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah. The real reason for the surveillance? The Nixon administration feared he could rally young voters against Nixon in the 1972 election and help George McGovern win. So there you go. Nixon, the petty man that he was.
And at the end of the day, Nixon figured out how to get himself out on his own.
On his own. It's so embarrassing to me. If you're president of the United States, and yeah, this goes for anyone, you're that worried about a celebrity. You got to be bigger than that if you're a world leader. That's my opinion. But all right, a lot of big ones today, Jay. I guess there's two ways you could do it. You could do the most, like, I can't believe this was even classified to begin with, or the one that's the most atrocious activity, whichever you want. So we'll do a quick rundown here to remind everyone. The Caton Massacre, the Dalai Lama in the CIA's pocket, Project Stargate, which was the remote viewing, Operation Northwoods, which was the operation to get a fake stuff to happen so we could fight Cuba, Pegasus, the spy software, Operation Gladio, that was the Stay Behind network to set up across Western Europe after World War II, Indonesia carrying out a massive anti-communist purge that killed almost 1 million people, the Gulf of Tonkin, which killed over 1 million people total, and the Vietnam conflict, and then we got Mr. Tojo. His ashes were buried at sea. And then lastly, John Lennon being spied on by the FBI. Which one's the worst and why? So it could be whatever reason. There's in that sense. Let me start. I think the worst here's the worst use of resources for the government or the FBI would be the John Lennon spying.
Yeah, that might be the easiest one to say because some of these other ones are just disgusting. It's hard to go, is it the 22,000 people? Well, that's not high enough because they killed 1 million over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't want to split those hairs because like the Indonesia, like that one just seems like brother on brother.
Oh, it was. It was Indonesian
like that.
people
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, you're a communist." No, I'm not. But I saw you talking to your communist. You had him over for a barbecue. Yeah, we're friends. I don't agree with this communism, but I'm not I go to work. I work at the store down the road, man. You're dead.
And then of course the Vietnam debacle,
yeah.
and then Tojo.
Tojo, man.
Like the human experiment thing, just it's like if you want to believe in the realm of Dark Ages, like what they would do to torture people. I just can't relate.
No. Humans are pretty crazy. Yeah, so I think just to keep it light and fun, I'd say the worst pick, what a waste of time, Mr. Nixon being afraid of John Lennon and sicking his cronies on him. And it turns out Lennon was never involved in violence. He actually preached what he preached. He did what he preached. He was not involved in violence other than what he did on his spouse every now and then, or illegal plots against the government. So, okay, well, there you go. I'm glad everyone, or hope everyone, enjoyed our episode today of insane declassified documents, 10 government operations they hid from the public, but have now been declassified. Of course, the most modern day one we have now is the Epstein files. But other than that, Jay, thanks for joining me on this episode, and I look forward to do another one with you again.
Okay, thanks a lot, brother.